Local and live, covering Franklin and Washington counties, it's Let's Talk Tri-State with Tiny and Katy.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Tri-State, powered by Home Right Windows and Doors in Waynesboro, the right choice winner in the 2024 Best of the Tri-State Awards.
And per usual, because it is Friday, we have invited back Dan Dedona from localnews1.org to just tell us what's going on in the community, and as you like to say, paint the mosaic for us of the community.
Well, we'll try to do that because there's an awful lot of well, I keep telling people if you put 10 humans together any place, something's going on. Mm-hmm. So, and since we've got about 166,000 humans in our coverage area, I'm going to start with 5 things to do this weekend.
Love it.
On today at 6 p.m., this is the 8th, right? There's going to be a movie at the Greencastle Church of the Brethren on Samson. Some of us were probably old enough to have seen this movie back when it first came out, but it's kind of interesting. If y'all recall, Samson was really strong, empowered by the gods to do great things, and then he got betrayed and had a tough, normal human kind of a problem. So anyway, they're showing that movie at the church.
And that's today, you said, tonight?
That's today at 6 p.m. at the Greencastle Church of the Brethren. Mm-hmm. Saturday's going to be busy. On the 9th, the Chambersburg I Heart Handmade 24 is going to be taking place at the Kaufman Community Center. It's an arts and crafts kind of a show, so you can start picking up things for the holidays. Mm-hmm. Also on Saturday, and this is kind of an interesting one, on the 30th annual bonfire night.
Fun.
Yeah, at the and you're gonna have to check me out how to pronounce it. Kanachigi.
Kanakajake.
Yeah, Kanakajake.
Kanakajake.
Okay, Kanakajake Institute over in Mercersburg. There's a branch on that. I want to cover a couple of other things, but remember the whole concept of fire. That's going to turn up. It's going to turn up later. Let's see what else is going on. Buttonwood on Sunday for between 1:30 and 3. They're going to have a story walk in Pine Hill Park. They're going to use the book Bear Says Thanks. That'll be that's mostly for children 5 to 12. They walk them through down some of the trails, and they tell this story that's kind of related to
I
that.
feel like adults would really like that too. That sounds
I can probably think of one.
Some do.
Sounds really cute.
And they vary the stories. They actually put in steel posts so they can put a different story in from month to month, and so they keep it fresh.
That's really cool. I like that.
Let's see what else. There's a holiday youth paint night going to take place. This is also tonight between 5:30 and 7. It's going to be put on in the Hagerstown Community College gym. All supplies are going to be provided, but there's a $10 ticket to get in.
Very reasonable price.
Pay for all the supplies. I'm going to slip in one extra. On Sunday, the 10th of November, at 3 p.m., the Waynesboro Community Concert Association is going to have the Simon and Garfunkel tribute in the high school auditorium, which would be very nice.
That's the one that Katy said she'd like to get down and dance to.
Is that what I said?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the Bridge Over Troubled Water. I can't imagine doing the
Are you sure I
shimmy
said
and the Watusi and the mashed potato, but hey.
Are you sure I said
I'm positive, yes, absolutely.
That's hard to see in Simon and Garfunkel, but
You never, you know.
It'll be hard to unsee too.
Yeah, you have to dance to the beat of your own drum.
Yeah. Let's go back to this notion of fire, the bonfire. Yeah. Burn bans started last week. Mm-hmm. We mentioned that there were one or two. What started as a trickle turned into a flood. Now there's burn bans countywide all over the area because of the warm, dry temperatures. So naturally, that begs some questions about having a giant bonfire out in Mercersburg. The way they're going to deal with that, they did in fact recognize that was a potential problem. So they're going to do that with stage lighting of some kind. So that'll be nice. But there have in fact been several wildfires in Franklin County. There was one up on Warm Spring Road that drew a lot of attention. There was also a larger one. See if I can find it here. Up in the mountain, up on South Mountain, about 10,000 acres.
Whoa.
That broke out Friday night, continued on to Saturday and over the weekend. There were just dozens and dozens of fire units responded to that, including helicopters and I mean, it was a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was one was it Greencastle on Wednesday that we reported on?
Oh, it was the cardboard.
The cardboard, yep.
Pallet, something, yeah, cardboard box manufacturer. They
more contained.
had a big fire, yeah.
Yeah. But still, I mean, that sort of thing can get out of control. So wildfires were a big problem. We're coming up on Veterans Day, originally known as Armistice Day. For those who don't remember that was the end. The armistice was signed in the 11th day of the 11th hour of the 11th month of 1911. So, no, 1911. Anyway, 11th day, 11th hour, 11th month. Signed the armistice, ending what was at that time viewed as the war to end all wars, because 8.5 million soldiers died in that. It was terrible. So anyway, fast forward a little bit. We have some fellas, a fella, Bill and Rosie Wagaman. Bill turned 100 here recently. He's a World War II vet. Turns out, in addition to other things, he was also a POW at the end of World War II. He's still kicking. They call him the Energizer Bunny out where he lives. But
and you said he's in Waynesboro?
He lives in Waynesboro.
Wow.
Still going strong. He's his experience as a POW toward the end of World War II was spent some months vacationing with the Germans. He managed to lose quite a bit of weight. When he finally got out of the POW camp, he weighed 70 pounds.
Wow.
So in spite of all that, he bounced back. He's 100. On a related note, the Franklin County Visitors Bureau is going to have a showing of a movie called Vendetta, Soldier, Prisoner. This is about 1,250 Italian POWs that were brought to the United States, and they stayed at Letterkenny. That story turned out very, very differently. Apparently, they made a lot of friends around here. Ended up declaring their allegiance to the Allies, and eventually, after the war, went home, but maintained friendships that endured for years and years and years. It's pretty interesting the way humans adapt and respond to different situations like that.
We are somewhat resilient.
We are in fact. Other things. Let's see. Local government. While we're talking about emergency services, the Clear Spring Ambulance Squad got an award back on the 3rd of June. They saved the life of a 2-year-old. What was interesting about that was it's very seldom that they're called upon to deal with pediatric arrest or pediatric cardiac arrest out in the field. Well, they managed to pull that off, and the kid's doing fine. So,
that's wow.
So they got an award for that. There was ambulance services in general. This came up fairly recently. You probably know, or your listeners probably know, that there's an awful lot of expense that's associated with fire support and EMS support. Well, it turns out that the Blue Ridge Summit EMS capability, they sent an ambulance down to Texas. Actually, they sent the chassis down to Texas, and they needed a new box put on top of it. Extraordinarily expensive. Well, while that was gone, they were fortunate enough to be able to borrow an ambulance from Fayetteville, because that's the way all these different volunteer organizations, they're all talking to each other all the time, and if somebody needs some help with something. So, but it turns out that ambulance, what's the plural of is that ambuli or ambulances?
I think it's ambulance.
Of all the questions, I didn't expect you to ask that.
Ambuli.
Ambuli. Well, anyway.
I kind of love that word, though.
Of all the places where they're apparently quite a bit of shortage because they're so expensive. Like the rigs that they buy, the big fire engines and the ladder trucks and the pumpers, and they're all very specialized, and they take an enormous number of people to operate them. But every single bit of that, just the hardware is enormously expensive.
Sure.
so is the gear that the firefighters have to wear, and there's a life limit on that gear. You can't use it beyond a certain point in time, or it won't resist the heat and the temperatures and whatnot. So all that has to be replaced periodically. It's kind of an interesting. We may talk here a little bit about other things that are taking place in local government, but this whole notion that the only reason we really want government in general is to help us to do a lot of things that we can't do ourselves. So we get together and we decide, okay, this is how we're going to do water. This is how we're going to take care of roads. This is how we're going to put out fires. This is how we're going to provide police support. And these guys are mostly volunteer. They don't necessarily, even in Maryland, which is more highly centralized at the county level, they're not wholly paid for by the county or by the state. They get grants. There's a certain amount of money that in Pennsylvania comes in every year through, I forget the name of it, but there's a fund that's distributed by municipalities to the fire departments that service them. But they perform a wonderful service.
Absolutely.
As do the police. And the interesting thing, though, is the best of all possible fire support is the fires that in your own home you prevent from happening. Mm-hmm. So that's why they talk, and a lot of people ignore them, but they talk an awful lot about, well, you ought to have fire warnings in your house. There are procedures that you ought to follow. The police make the same case. This is, giving us advance warning allows us to respond. Fire department's got the same problem. Having these things that will give you a little bit of time to evacuate, and also gives us a little bit of time to respond. They can't. It's cost prohibitive to have a policeman and a firefighter sitting on your front porch waiting for something to happen. So,
that's not something we can do.
We might want to tell the gentleman out front to just go ahead and leave because stand at post.
Yeah, but so there's this relationship that has to persist, and to the extent that people, at very fundamental level, don't participate in just that amount of regular collaboration with all of these services, the system can break down. Mm-hmm. I mean, they simply can't respond fast enough. Right. And they hate it when the firefighters and the EMS guys, they hate it when that's the case. But there's not a thing they can do if they don't have this relationship with all the people that they're trying to serve. So it's a very interesting situation. Let's see what else is going on here. Talked a little bit about the elections. Well, the elections were about that. Enough said.
Yeah, we covered quite a bit of that too this week, but I'm happy to talk about it more.
I know next week we are having Chad Reicher's going to join us.
Chad's a good man.
Yeah, Chad is a good fella, and he picked up his seat, so we're going to congratulate him and see what his plans are moving forward. Mm-hmm. So can't wait for that one.
Speaking of which, his predecessor, who is still sitting in the seat, Paul Schemmel. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you noticed, but on the 20th of November, he has put out an invitation to people to come up to the state capitol. He'll give a tour.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's very nice.
Yeah, that is nice.
You can look up the details in local news. We covered ambulance services. There have been a number of zoning hearings recently. There was one that was interesting, the country club in Waynesboro. Mm-hmm. As part of, they're trying to work out an arrangement with their current manager, who's done some great things for the golf course and for the whole facility. He wants to build a house out between the 13th and the 14th holes. There's a little section of woods out there. So, but it's zoned agricultural. I don't know how many people are aware of this, but it's both a plus and a minus, because people buy and they build based upon the way things are zoned, because the alternative would be things springing up like weeds in all kinds of weird places. Look at a lot of the older cities. Actually, if you go down to Alexandria sometime and you drive around, you'll be driving through this beautiful, very compact residential neighborhood, mm-hmm. and poof, there'll be an organization for the support of firefighters or something. Mm-hmm. Just big old building, big old office building, right smack in the middle of a residential area.
My best friend lives in Alexandria.
Yeah, and it's like that.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's like that all over. So the reason you do zoning is so that things don't just pop up by mistake and then you can't undo
a bit of
them.
uniformity.
Yeah, you can't undo. So you want low-density residential in one place. You don't necessarily want a skyscraper right smack in the middle. You don't necessarily want a chicken farm in the middle either. That's the kind of thing that comes before all the different townships and boroughs from time to time, because people, well, I love my chickens. I love to sell the chicken, the eggs to the poor.
Well, did he get the, were you being serious when you said he wants to build a home?
Yeah.
And did he get the approval?
Not yet that I'm aware of.
Okay.
They're still working their way through that.
I got you.
Okay, so, but it's
Quite the ask, I would think.
apparently it was an offer. I'm not sure if it was an ask. I don't know all the details of it, but the idea that it was coming before the Washington Township zoning committee to discuss, well, this is ag. Do we want to convert this little segment into
Residential, yeah.
residential?
You know, if I were gonna have a house built on a golf course, I would want it next to hole 4.
Okay, Dan, this is your third week here, but I can tell you unequivocally that what she just did is par for the course.
Okay.
Look at this
So
guy.
there's more to.
It's also National Pun Day,
It is,
just so
that's
you
true.
know. So we have to stay true to National Pun Day and work them in as much as we can. It's my duty as a citizen
what?
of Franklin County to
Well, it's good.
celebrate Pun Day.
It's good to know that you're both looking for your opunnings.
Well done.
There you go.
Well done, Dan.
Nicely
Appreciate
done.
that.
So this is a comedy show too.
Well, it has turned into one. Wow.
Can't always get a hole in one though, you know.
Okay, so what else is going on? Happel's Meadow. There's a tiny little meadow. It's a wetlands. It's theoretically it's owned by Washington Township, but because it's a wetlands, it's managed by the Corps of Engineers, and it's got a lot of other people who are interested in it, environmental protection and conservation and natural resources and whatnot. They just got approval from Washington because it's owned by the township.
And where is it? I know you said Washington Township, but where is it in the township?
There's a section of Route 16 that runs between Rouserville and Blue Ridge Summit.
Okay.
And it goes right through a wetlands. It's straight as an arrow, and there's a wetlands on either side.
Now I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
It actually used to be it was farmland. As a matter of fact, if you take a look at Google Maps, you can actually see where the irrigation system.
Oh. Okay.
I mean, you can look down and you can see all these straight parallel lines. This is that doesn't look like anything natural. Well, it's not. It was there was an irrigation system that was put in around the turn of the century, and then when the state put Route 16 right smack through the middle of the wetlands, that kind of destroyed the irrigation. But
what is it that they want to do with it now?
well, they want to turn it into a they want to put a boardwalk in, so that I mean, at the moment, the best you can do is you can walk up to the side of the road, and you can fold your arms and go, "Yep, wetland."
Pretty much.
And that's all you can do.
That's about it. So what they want to do, they want to put in a boardwalk and a deck, and they want to make it possible for people to walk out through some trails that already exist, and then walk out into the wetlands and see just how much ecological diversity is out there. There was a lady that used to be on the Happel's Meadow Committee that documented all this. She was a botanist. She documented all this. So they've been talking for decades about getting rid of,
That would be such a
about
cool.
putting in a boardwalk.
I can see it, like to go for a run and just really clear your head. That would be really lovely to have in the community.
Okay.
It would.
Well, in addition, and we're probably running out of time, so I'll just mention there's apparently the political season is also the season for giving away grants. There's literally millions of dollars that are being given away in Chambersburg and Waynesboro to consolidate EMS services in Carroll Valley and a lot of other places. You can find all that in Local News 1.
Online at.
localnews1.org.
There it is. Perfect. Dan,
Encourage
thanks
you
so
to
much.
Visit Dan, and they'll get you taken care of with all the information you need about Waynesboro and the immediate surrounding areas, and it's good stuff on there, and it's always well reported, and we appreciate you being here, and we'll talk to you in a week.
Look forward to it.
All right.
If you'd like to be featured on an upcoming episode of Let's Talk Tri-State, call 717-597-9200 or email letstalk@921thegoat.com.